Hello, welcome to a new episode with me, your host, Mark Gunnels, here with lineups. And with the NFL season right around the corner, it's time to talk about the real teams. And what I mean by that, the teams that can actually win the Super Bowl. Now, this is not an exact science. If I would have did this same exercise this time last year, I definitely wouldn't have said the Seattle Seahawks. So that's the beauty of the NFL. That's the beauty of it, man. The NFL, so much parity. But as of today, I feel strongly about my Super Bowl bubble. So the teams in this bubble are the teams that I can see winning the Super Bowl. If you're not in this bubble, you're not winning the Super Bowl. You're not. And I got 6 teams in this bubble. You can't have like 20 teams in the bubble or even 10 teams. It has to be a very exclusive group. So I have 6 teams in my Super Bowl bubble. And this is not like an order of who's most likely or not. They're just all in the same tier to me. So here's the 6 teams, and I'll explain why I like each team to be in this bubble. I have the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl bubble. The New England Patriots are in it. The Cincinnati Bengals are in it. The Kansas City Chiefs. Yes, the Chiefs are back in the bubble. And in the NFC, I only have 2 teams right now. The Rams and the Chicago Bears. So let me start from the top. How I did. I named the Bills first. Now, this one's pretty clear. Yes, I know they haven't been to the Super Bowl in the Josh Allen era, but they've been so close. Multiple AFC Championship game appearances. Probably should have beat the Broncos last year if Josh Allen didn't have his worst playoff game of his career with the 4 turnovers. Pretty much running it back. And anytime you have a Josh Allen, a guy that actually elevates his play in the postseason, despite that one-off game against Denver, you have a puncher's chance. And at some point, they're going to break through. I know we've been saying this for years now, but you can see it coming. You can see it coming. He's still in his prime. You got Joe Brady there as head coach, who's been the OC the last couple years. So there's still a familiarity there. Same system. I like them getting DJ Moore from Chicago. That was a good pickup for them. They're going to be right there in the mix. Their rival in the same division, who's in my Super Bowl bubble, the New England Patriots. I really love what they did in the offseason offensively. Despite Drake May finishing second in MVP, they didn't just rest on that. They didn't stay stagnant. They got him A.J. Brown, a true number 1 receiver, and they got him Romeo Doubs as a legit number 2, who was actually the number 1 for the Packers last season. So adding those 2 weapons, another year of Drake May in the system, another year of having confidence coming off a Super Bowl run. He's only going to get better. The defense will always be at least top 10 with Mike Vrabel there as head coach. That's their floor. I don't care who's on defense. Vrabel is going to find a way to make them be adequate on that side of the ball. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're back in the Super Bowl this year. They got better significantly offensively. There's no question about it. Now to the NFC. And I'm starting off with the teams that probably aren't too surprising based on last year. So this is the obvious one out of all these 16. This is the most obvious. The LA Rams. I mean, talk about Super Bowl or bust. They have the best roster in football all around. You added Myles Garrett. You added Trent McDuffie. You have the reigning MVP at quarterback, Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, Kyron Williams at running back, Sean McVay, a top 3 coach in the league. They have everything you need. So not only are they in the bubble, you could argue that they are the bubble. Because if they don't win the Super Bowl, it will be considered a failure. Not just going, and if they go and lose, oh, it was a great season. No, they have to go and win. And they may get a guy back named Aaron Donald to that defensive line with Myles Garrett. That's just unfair. So, Bills, Patriots, Rams. I have 3 more teams. Now, these 3 maybe like raise your eyebrow a little bit, but this team shouldn't. And that's the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I know they missed the playoffs last year. I get it. But can we just admit that was a one-off? Can we just admit that? It was a weird year. Then Mahomes tore his ACL. They had some off-the-field stuff going on, injuries at key positions, losing a lot of those one-score games that they normally win, coming off trying to get a three-peat that's never been done in NFL history. I think they were just emotionally and physically worn down. And it's easy to say now in hindsight, but I think missing the playoffs actually probably the best thing that ever happened to them. Because now, you know, if they ever got arrogant or got too comfortable, they got that slap in the face like, hey, this is still the NFL. Nothing's guaranteed. Not even making the playoffs. And the Broncos are feeling good. They won the division. They're kind of talking. Sean Payton is very talkative, out there, outgoing. I think that's going to light a fire under the Chiefs. Mahomes was back at OTAs, guys. OTAs, forget training camp. He's been back since OTAs. He didn't even have to do that. Guys super motivated. They got Kenneth Walker. This would be the best running back that Mahomes has ever had. He's never had a 1,000-yard running back, ever. Not once. Let that sink in. And he hasn't had a 1,000-yard receiver since Tyreek Hill. If Rashee Rice stays healthy, I think he will eclipse the 1,000-yard mark. He was on pace to do that last year, but he was suspended for the first 6 games. So I think with them reloading their defense in the draft, I love the picks with Mansour Delane and Peter Woods in the first round. Spags is always going to make things work for the personnel that he has. I think the Chiefs get right back in that mix. In the AFC, there's no clear-cut favorite. Like in the NFC, we know that the Rams are the clear-cut favorite. The AFC is kind of jumbled up. So if you make the playoffs and you're the Chiefs and you got Patrick Mahomes, how can you not be in the Super Bowl bubble? How can you not? And the next 2 teams have the Cincinnati Bengals in my Super Bowl bubble. Now, this one may really raise an eyebrow. They've missed the playoffs the last 3 years. I get that. But they finally addressed their defense. Now, I know Trey Hendrickson is not there anymore, but they added Dexter Lawrence, Boy Mafe from Seattle, Jonathan Allen from Minnesota, Miles Murphy, who I think is going to have a breakout year, defensive edge. They have enough talent there in that D-line that I think can disturb others. And with their offense, they don't have to have an elite defense. It doesn't have to be the best defense in the league. If they're just at least top 15, top 16, that would be more than enough for them, I think, to win the AFC North because their offense is so potent. And I think Joe Burrow's in line for an MVP type season. I think it's his time as long as they make the playoffs because he's going to have the numbers, but you got to have a playoff team to win MVP. So I do think those things align with the defense being good and Joe Burrow and that offense still doing what they do. And last but not least, in my Super Bowl bubble is the Chicago Bears. Yes, I'm drinking the Caleb Williams, Ben Johnson Kool-Aid. And you can also add in Luther Burden, who I think is going to be one of the top 5 breakout players this season at receiver. They lost DJ Moore, but I think Luther Burden is actually an upgrade. I know that sounds crazy to say because DJ Moore's done it and been there. But, you know, he's not the youngest guy anymore. He's battled some injuries. I think Luther Burden now, they're going to expand his route tree. He can play inside, outside. I think he's going to have a 12 to 1,300 yard receiving season. I really, truly believe that. You still got Rome Odunze there. Caleb Williams, mixing up the Calebs in Chicago. Shout out to the Bulls with Caleb Wilson. 2 Calebs in Chicago now. But Caleb Williams, I think, another year under the Ben Johnson system, I think he could be a sneaky MVP candidate this year, challenging a Joe Burrow. And Chicago, their defense, they have a lot of young guys. They're very athletic. They're fast. I like this Bears team, man. They got a taste of the playoffs last year. They were competitive. Caleb had some real shining moments in the fourth quarter. I think they build off of that. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see the Bears make the NFC Championship game. I would not be surprised whatsoever. So as of right now, those are my 6 teams in my Super Bowl bubble. This may be a thing that I may update like weekly or so throughout the year, or at least after we get a few weeks in, maybe after the first quarter, then I update this on a weekly basis because it will change. There will be teams that will enter the bubble, teams that will go out the bubble, because there's teams that are right outside of it, like the Ravens. I'm sure Ravens fans are like, what about us, Lamar? Seattle, they have the biggest case, right? Why is Seattle not in the bubble? They just won the Super Bowl. Well, they lost Kenneth Walker, right? They're banking on a rookie running back right now. And it's hard. We don't really see teams repeat. I think they're still going to be a playoff team, but I think the Bears and Rams are going to jump them this year. I really do, but I wouldn't be surprised if Seattle jumps back in my bubble. So we'll talk about that once the games start going on. But those are my 6 teams right now: Bills, Patriots, Bengals, Chiefs, Rams, and Bears. Thank you guys for tuning in for another episode with me, your host, Mark Gunnels, here on Lineups. Until next time, take care.